योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
Hello all. I, Dr. Krunal Soni, Faculty of Management Study, SDJ International College, Surat, would like to thank UGC HRDC Gujarat University for giving me an opportunity to connect with you and deliver my session on the topic called Stepping Stone to Prepare Effective Research Paper. With those note, I should also thank Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi, Professor and Director of UGC HRDC, for giving me this opportunity and providing me this platform to share my knowledge on how to prepare effective research paper. As the credit goes to him, as UGC HRDC Gujarat University is providing so many platforms to the teaching fraternity at various level. As UGC HRDC nowadays is very innovative and established training institute, and that is why the first online professional development program for not even for teaching fraternity, for the administrative staff for the university also during the lockdown was arranged by UGC HRDC Gujarat University, and around 105 participants have taken this benefit out of this initiative. UGC HRDC is also taking the video feedbacks of all the participants after each program that they are conducting, whether it is offline or online, and that you can see on the website that has been kept by official website of UGC HRDC Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. So with this note, I will start my presentation on the topic of stepping stone for preparing effective research paper for all the research scholar or all those who are doing research in their respective fields of the study. So let's begin with the presentation. Now, the stepping stone to make effective research paper. This is the topic that has been allotted to me. So how to prepare research paper? This is the most important questions nowadays for all of us, right? Because to have the research paper effectiveness is the requirement of the today's scenario, and we all have to have good amount of research for our academic. Yes, so effective research paper is required at every level if we want to grow with our professional development, and not for professional development, but in today's scenario, if we want to deliver any content to our students, then we should have the proper content and proper research in our respective subject, and that is what we need generation, right? In the today's generation. So let's begin with the what I can say the discussion with how the research design will begin. How research design will begin. How research design will begin. This is the question that I want to serve you, and this is the question through which I can give my answer also, that how the research design will begin. So research design begins with various parameters, and this is a cyclical process through which every researcher needs to go with it. So what is the first point that our research begins, right? Research begins at what? How do you get the idea that I want to indulge into this particular topic for my research, right? It might be some reasons that you are indulging into particular research. So what this exactly the reason for that you are indulging into particular research? So yes, so how research begins. So first we need to understand the process of it, and process start with this from here, right? Any research starts with particular idea. How this idea has been generated by any researcher. How you will get the idea that I want to do the research on this particular point, right? So you have observed something in your nearest surrounding, right? You have observed something, or might be it is possible that you feel some problems during your research, or might be you feel that this is the most flourishing thing in the today's scenario, and definitely I should go with this particular topic or particular things that will explore my career, that will explore, so that will explore my knowledge, my enhancement, my compatibility, right? So all these things we need to see when we are selecting our research idea. So basically the process of research will start with the research idea, right? So the process of research will begins with the generation of research idea, right? You have to generate your research idea. Once you decide the area of research, right, then what you need to do, you will have to think what has been already discovered if I'll go with this topic, right? Because research का मतलब होता है when you are making research of any content or anything which is already established, it is called research, right? So once you decide your idea that I want to go for this particular topic for my career advancement or for my knowledge enhancement, so you will go on through the past research has been done on this particular topic, right? So what you will do, so if you want to see the past research that has been done on your topic, what you need to do, you need to go through the proper literature review. That means you need to analyze the past research paper that every author has gone through this particular process, and you need to find out what has already been discovered, right? So which is already discovered, it is not considered to be a part of research, but the content which has not been discovered yet, and then you are going for the enactment, or you can say the stretching point for particular topic, that would be considered your research, right? And that is why what is the importance of doing research, literature review in research. So literature review will give you the idea about your topic, about the invention in your topic, how the various authors has reached to the invention on this particular topic by utilizing various research tools and techniques on this particular topic, and based on these tools and techniques, by considering their topic, what they have concluded finally, right? So you will come to know what the previous research has already done, and you will also be able to differentiate what you want to search for in this. So the basic difference that you will get it is the research problem. So research problem means what you want to search and what already has been searched, and this is a gap, this is a gap, and this gap you need to fulfill. This is called research problem, right? So based on the past literature review and the things that you want to additionally identify, so this is a gap that you need to breach in your research. This is called the theoretical formation of your research problem. So basically research problem will be the foundation of what any researcher or any research scholar is going to perform in their particular research. So theoretical formation of research problem is very important for all of us. Then once you are through with your research problem, then what you need to decide that empirical research questions, you need to select few empirical research questions. There are few criteria, there are few theories, and there are few rules and regulations based on which you can design the empirical research question for your research. It's not like that you feel that you want to ask this and you can ask. There is certain pattern, there is certain rules, there is certain criteria for it, through which you can design your proper questions for your further research proceeding. Yes, so definitely once we have decided the research problem, and based on that we have designed or we have framed certain research question that particularly we want to go in our survey. Then if you want to go for survey, you cannot go for the survey randomly or haphazardly, right? But that should be proper ways, that should be proper roadmap that you need to design for your research that you want to conduct for the further proceeding. That is why research design is that there are so many parameters that has been covered under the research design, right? Research design is a very broad aspect, and I can say that research design is a blueprint of what particular researcher or invention karna logo ne, whatever he has done, that you can identify through the research design. Whatever that concludes so many parts that we will discuss in the later part of this particular session, that what particular things that we need to include in our research design in our thesis, or it might be say in research paper. Then research design, once you have done, it is called blueprint. So research design will be official begin with the part of data collection, and data collections will be done through the research questions, right? So you need to go for the construction of proper questionnaires for your research, and based on the questionnaires that you have generated, it is not compulsory that you always go for the questionnaire. You can go for the interview, structure interview, you can go for the online interview also, you can go for the data collection also, right? There are many tools available through which you can collect the data, but yes, the type of data that you are collecting, that will decide which methodology of data analysis and tools and techniques that you are going to appear in your particular research. So yes, data collection is most important thing, right? You can collect your data either through online or offline, depending upon the requirement of your subject and requirement of your topic. So data collection is there. Once you collect your data, you have to analyze this particular data, right? Data analysis. Once you are done with data collection, then you need to proceed for the data analysis. Now data analysis, there are ample number of tools and techniques are available through which you can go for the data analysis, right? If you have a primary research, you can go for data tools and techniques. If you have a secondary, you can go for the forecasting model, prediction building models, right? Through econometrics, time series data, with the help of various softwares like eViews, you can go for panel software, right? Even you can perform these functions in MS Excel also, right? By installing data analysis tools packs. Yes, so data analysis. Then based on the analysis that you have performed, you can be able to answering the empirical research questions. The empirical research questions that you have formulated over here, right? So once you have formulated these research questions, you have gone through the research design, that is the blueprint. But out of this research design, you have started with data collection, then you have performed data analysis, and after performing data analysis, you reach to this answering empirical research question, and this empirical research question is answering the questions of the question that you have designed at the fourth stage, that is empirical research questions, so that you will be able to answer the questions that you have designed in your research. And question will be based on the research problem, and research problem represents nothing but it is the basic fundamental to formulate your objectives of the research, right? It is nothing but the basic fundamentals to formulate the objectives of your research. So ultimately you are doing through this process, data collection, tools, analysis, and everything, you are answering the empirical questions, and empirical questions we have designed over here from empirical question, and empirical questions was based on research problem, and research problem is nothing but it represents the objectives that you want to prove in your research. I hope this will make a sense, and I hope this is clear to everyone, right? And this will be useful for your effective building of your research paper, because before starting your paper, you should understand the basic fundamentals of research process, without which you cannot start. Otherwise, somewhere or somehow you will stuck up, right? Let's suppose you fail to identify your research problem, right? So if you have made this step wrong, you will make this step wrong, and based on this step is also going to be wrong, this is also going to be wrong, this is also going to be wrong, and this is also going to be wrong, and your ultimately your research will fall under no societal importance, right? So research should always have the societal importance, and that we all need to take care for this particular thing. Then theoretical interpretation of the results. Once you will answer the research questions, you have to interpret the results also, right? Okay, what is the exactly this result is, what does it indicate, how it is going to be useful, where we need to apply, who are the target audience that are going to be useful, right? So all these questions, answers you have to define in your interpretation. And then whatever the interpretation and the analysis that you have done, you need to compare your results with the earlier results. Let's suppose, usually in social science or something, we are making that we have built some consumer buying behavior towards the electronic products in Ahmedabad city, right? So this is the earlier research, so that I can find out in literature review. Now I want to go for the analysis for same topic, but I want to check that whatever the consumer buying behavior pattern that I found in Ahmedabad city, right? In Ahmedabad city, the same pattern, can I get it from Surat also? Right. So in my research, I have made a comparison, or I have made the consumer buying behavior research in Surat city. Now I can compare these results with this literature review, and I can find out what was the consumer buying behavior pattern in Ahmedabad and what was the consumer buying behavior pattern in Surat. And I can conclude that whatever the factors or consumer buying behavior model is same applicable in Surat city, or might be it showing some difference in it, right? So this is called conclusion, and we can conclude that consumer buying behavior pattern of Ahmedabad and Surat cities are same, or it might be differ at some point of time, or might be it is completely different. That is what we can conclude from our research. So basically, if I'm going for consumer buying behavior pattern, so my research problem was, I want to check the consumer buying behavior that was prevailing in Ahmedabad city is same applicable in Surat city or not. And that answer I have given in this particular portion, that is conclusion. Clear? Now, what is the difference between to have the your literature and the abstract, that we will discuss in later part. So I hope this will make you able to understand how the research process is, how it is going to be worked, and how we need to deal with it. Yes. Now, these are the key area of research, that whenever you are making your research project, or if you are making your thesis or research paper, right? So these are the key points that everyone should needs to cover in your research paper or thesis, right? Because these are the very important points that everybody needs to go into it. Clear? Fine enough? Yes. So basically abstract, keywords, introduction, literature review, research methodology, data analysis and interpretation, findings and conclusion, and recommendations of the study. These are the key pillars of any research paper. So anywhere, anytime, if you're writing your research paper, at least you have to ensure this, that this thing should be covered in your research article, right? These are the key parameters, and these are the key fundamentals that every research needs to cover. At least this particular, every researcher needs to cover this particular aspects in their research. Otherwise, there is no point to have your research, right? So abstract, keywords, introduction, literature review, research methodology, data analysis and interpretation, finding and conclusion, and recommendations of the study. Right now, yes. Now, what is research design, that we need to understand first. Yes. So research design broadly categorized. Research design broadly categorized into mainly two parts. One part represent qualitative versus quantitative, and another part is representing nomothetic versus idiographic research. Now, what does this four terminology means? If I'm saying qualitative, what does it mean? If I'm saying quantitative, what does it mean? So qualitative research design is basically concerned with the questions asking with why and how. When we are asking any questions in our research, starting with why and how, this is basically qualitative, because we want to analyze something with some description, why it is happening, how it has happened, right? We want to describe something. We don't want to quantify something, right? But we want to describe something, right? So that you can do it with the qualitative research, right? then it is basically used for to measure the phenomena of any particular research or any particular topic, right? You will measure the phenomena of particular topic, but the methods for this research is you can study the biography of anyone, ethnography, right? Then might be some grounded theories that you can study for qualitative research. Case studies research is considered to be a qualitative research, right? So these are the qualitative research, right? Under the qualitative research, you will ask the question with why and how to represent the phenomena under your study, and you want to describe that phenomena in a detailed manner with some your inputs with findings and conclusion. That is called qualitative research that we want to with that we can't quantify. But if I'm saying quantitative research, so what is quantitative research? So basically, quantitative research that itself is means that we should quantify something, right? If we can quantify something, that is called quantitative research. In social science, mainly we are performing quantitative research mostly as of now, right? So that quantitative research is basically used for making any prediction in the survey, or maybe you can establish any causal relationship between two variables, right? Then you can generalize the results by representing the large populations in the survey. Let's suppose we are taking some samples in the survey, right? If you are going for quantitative research and in marketing or primary research survey, if you are doing it, you are going in the market and you are taking sample from few people, that is who is your target audience. But why you are taking samples? Because you cannot study the entire population, and that we are taking sample. So based on the sample, whatever data that you have collected, you will analyze those data and you will compare this data analysis with the research problem that you have designed. And based on that, you will come to the interpretation and conclusion. And that conclusion you can compare with the earlier research through the literature review. So you will come to know whether your research gap has been fulfilled or not. And that you can do it through this, right? So the various examples for this is descriptive research that you can do it, right? Frequency analysis and everything. Correlation you can perform, you can measure the correlation between two variables, whether they are highly correlated, positively correlated, negatively correlated, right? If you are performing stock exchange return, so under the stock exchange, if you want to measure the correlation among various independent stock prices with having impact on the dependent variable called stock exchange or stock indices, right? So if you want to check the multicollinearity, that is correlation between two variables, so we can find out that these two script or three script are performing positively with each other or negatively with each other. If your correlation is positive, that means they have the common behavior in particular point of situation. But if your correlation is negative, then you can conclude that there is a negative correlation among these two particular series, right? So this is what it is. Then you can go for scientific research, under which researcher or statistician try to manipulate one or two variable. Let's suppose if I am going for regression model to find out the impact of 2 or 3 stock market script on the BS index. So if I'm not getting the appropriate result, I can make trial and error and I can check the results, whether the results are appropriate or not, right? So I can make a small changes in the values of the independent variable through various tools and techniques, so that I can check whether the effect is significant or not, right? Then if we talk about nomothetic research, what is nomothetic research? Nomothetic research is basically when you are making research study about this society. When you are making research study about the society, you have to apply the nomothetic study. And idiography is to be considered as when you are making the study of individual in your research. It is called idiographic research for the research design. Yes, so this is what we have covered. So qualitative research and quantitative research ka difference we need to find out. So if we talk about the qualitative research, so qualitative research basically deals with words, image, and the subjective matter. When we are saying words, image, and subjective matters, that means it is explaining the phenomena. It explains certain situation in a describing manner, but it should not be quantified in quantitative numbers, right? So basically, qualitative research, we have case studies, or you can have some biography or anthropography, or you can refer some grounded theory which was already proven, and based on that you can give some comments depending upon your observation and depending upon your thought power. But you cannot finalize this thing. It is just an assumption. We cannot make a final conclusion. That is what the characteristics of the qualitative research. On the contrary, if we talk about the quantitative research, so quantitative research generally deals in numbers, logics, and in the objectives. So when I'm saying numbers, so quantitative research can be measured in numbers. When I'm talking about the numbers, so number means it is related to the stock market data, right? If suppose if I want to measure the impact of 5 stock script on the BSE or NSE Nifty indexes, right? Then how should I measure this particular thing? That can be measured by the quantitative data, right? So that also we can check it and we can make it clear. So that is what we need to. Yes, so this was the quantitative data, right? Now we need to understand about the various other aspects of the qualitative research. So as I already explained, then when we are talking about in terms of qualitative research, so qualitative research basically range from activity of exploring design to means of completing explanation, right? So if you have noticed some particular things or particular scenario, and based on that, if you want to make some comments on this, so you can explain this particular things through the qualitative research, right? And that is why qualitative research is basically belongs to the exploratory research design. Now the thing is, what is exploratory? So when I'm talking about exploratory, it basically deals with to investigate certain situation or a problem that cannot be completely defined. That cannot be completely defined, but we can give some judgment on it. We can give some judgment on it, but yes, if this is there, it might be this, it might be that, but we cannot finally conclude that it is that only. That is what the characteristics of the qualitative research. Clear? Yes. And that is why qualitative research assumes that people have meaningful actions or experiences that can be interpreted, right? Qualitative research basically don't deal with the quantity. That doesn't deal with the rationality of the data. Qualitative research doesn't deal with the rationality of the data, but yes, qualitative research works on some pre-assumptions of that, some previous experience of that. Might be we have heard some news in the market and accordingly we have act on it, right? Might be we can use the experience of our elders also in the house, right? So this is what the qualitative research works on it, and based on that we will take certain actions and we can make the interpretation based on the various experience or various opinions that we have covered from the market. And what are the areas of data collections for qualitative research? So qualitative research data that you can cover from economical point of view, flexibility point of view, that opens a doors with the questions of why and how. As I already told you that it is a descriptive research, exploratory research. Exploratory means you need to explore it in your own words, in your own language, and in your own experience, right? So this is why and how, but you cannot finalize this thing. You just put an assumption on it. And richness of data, right? So when you are going for the qualitative research, you always need to think about the richness of data, the sources through which you are dealing with your research. If your sources are not good, you should not rely on this, right? Because qualitative research is not dealing with the quantitative data, right? But the sources through which you are making context or through which you are making your analysis, that should be very rich in amount of information, right? And it is best to start with, right? Whenever you want to start your research, you should start with the qualitative aspect. You should do case study on this, right? Even if you are making case study analysis to the students in the class, it is called qualitative research, right? If you give certain scenario to the students, what is your opinion on this particular point? So student will give their opinion by considering the case study, by understanding their theoretical knowledge, right? So qualitative research will basically give the answer by considering the situation of the case, and by considering the case, it should be rely, or it should be connected with the theoretical aspect, and based on that, people will give some judgment on this particular aspect. This is what the areas of data collection for the qualitative research. Then qualitative research design, right? So qualitative research example, as I already mentioned, that case studies on effect of vocational training in Pune, right? So if you are learning any case study in the market, this is just one example, but if we are measuring any case study in the market, right? So students have, or people have some descriptive answers on this, that people should do this, people should have to do that, but there is no specific form of answer, because qualitative research is not, what you can say, experimental research. It's not viable research which is already established or which is already proven, right? It is just opinion based, that people should do this, people should do this. It doesn't mean that you will get the fruitful answers in the future. It is just an experimental, right? Yes. So qualitative research types are case study, developmental research, right? So if we are analyzing any particular situation, or if we are finding for solution of any particular situation, yes, you can use this qualitative research, right? Historical research, what has been happened in the past, what is happening in the future, what is happening in the present, and what will be happening in the coming time period. So that if you want to do this, so you can do the historical research, and based on that, you can make some predictions about the future prospect, right? But based on that, you should have some history case study, or you have to have some historical evidence of the past, and then only you can suggest on this. Then you have the ethnograph study, right? Then case studies, you can go for any things for the qualitative research, and any case study will lead to descriptive or exploratory answers, right? You should do this and that, and based on that, you can check the viability once it is executed. But as of now, you cannot confirm that this particular situation is 100% right, or that particular situation is 100% wrong, right? It is purely judgmental based, right? It is purely the expectations and the opinion based. Now, quantitative research survey. If you are going for quantitative research survey, right? So what are the ways through which you can make it available, the data for you, right? So when I'm talking about the quantitative research, right? So quantitative research basically start with the survey. If I'm going for primary research, so primary research, I need to start with the survey. I need to take the opinion of the people from the market regarding the different parameters that I have decided to put in my study, with the help of the objective that I have derived, and objective I had derived from the research problem that I have done it, and research problem I have derived from the literature, and literature and research idea, or research idea and literature has defined my research problem, and based on that, I have defined objective. Objective leads to questions, question leads to data collection, and data collection leads to have the survey. And this survey you can perform through different ways of methods, and the methods which is already described over here. You can go for the telephonic method, you can go for the personal interview, right, or personal meeting, you can say. Then you can go for the mails, you can mail your questionnaire to the respondent, and you can collect the responses from the electronic mediums also, right? So if you are going with the telephonic conversation, so if you are going for telephonic, so there is a traditional telephone and there is computer assisted telephone interviews, right? Right now we are using online classes, online platforms. So this is what it is called, computer assisted telephone interview. Then if we are going for the personal way, so you can go for the in-home, right? You can go at home and meet personally. You can take the appointments of any professional person, and depending upon the time period, you can meet them and you can get the responses depending upon the data that you want to collect. Let's suppose if I'm conducting a survey on doctor as a being a medical representative, so I cannot go at the home of doctor and meet personally. Rather, I need to take the permission, or I need to take the appointments of the doctor in his free time, so that he can meet me personally and we can have the fruitful discussion on particular business deal, right? And then we have random personal interviews. If you went any random ways, let's suppose if you are making a survey on consumer buying behavior in malls, right? So if you go into the mall, there is a walking customers are there. So you can ask any person to fill the questionnaire regarding their consumer buying behavior towards the mall shopping, right? So this is called random personal interview, and you can ask the questions as well. Then you can mail your questionnaires also, right? And mail the questionnaire is a mail interview and mail panel, right? And electronic medium is you can make the emails, or you can post your questionnaire through any links or something, and through the use of internet, right? So this is what the quantitative research survey, through which these are the different mediums for which you can conduct your survey in a better manner. Whatever method is convenient to you, you can free to use. There is no particular discussion or particular rules that you have to use this particular things only. There is no criteria on this. So if you want to comparison of qualitative quantitative research, so these are the characteristics of qualitative and quantitative research. So research objective for qualitative is discovery of new ideas, insights, and feelings, right? So you can describe in a qualitative manner only, right? There is no particular things, particular numerical data, but it is qualitative aspect, right? Feelings, ideas, insight, feelings, right? That I cannot measure in numbers, but I can measure in qualitative manner, right? I can measure in particular things, right? So this is called research objective for qualitative research. At the same time, if we go for the quantitative research, there might be some different opinion for the quantitative research. So the first one is the validations of facts, most important, because quantitative data works on data, right, which is already collected from authenticated sources from the market, right? So whenever you are making research on particular authenticated data from the market, you should always be cautious about that it should be relevance with the topic. It should be have the facts, figures, whatever that you have covered for your research, and the estimates and relationships should be properly identified. That is what you need to take care about the quantitative research, right? Then if we talk about the type of research that you need to apply for the qualitative data analysis, so usually need to go for the exploratory. And what is the meaning of exploratory? That I have already told you in the previous slide, that it helps to investigate the problem. But the thing is, for the exploratory research is, it cannot be clearly defined. It cannot be clearly defined. We can conclude that it might be, it might not be, it may be useful, it will be useful, but it is useful that we cannot conclude. That is what the limitation of the qualitative research. But if we go to the quantitative, we have the descriptive analysis and causal relationship. What is causal? What is causal effect? What is causal effect? So cause and effect is cause and effect relationship. If I'll make the changes in one particular variable, what will be the final impact on the other variable? That we need to measure. That is called cause and effect relationship. Because if I'll make the cause in one particular variable, that cause has what effect on the other variable? That I need to check. Then I need to go for the quantitative research. Then types of questions. Which kind of questions can I ask for the qualitative research? So I can go with open-ended, semi-structured, unstructured probing, right? So these are the ways through which I can go for the qualitative survey, right? I can ask, by what is your opinion on this? What you want to change? Why you want to change? How you want to describe? So these are the questions that can be asked in the qualitative research. But if I need to go for the quantitative, that is based on the facts and figure, and it is based on certain objectives and numerical data. So obviously, this kind of questionnaires or this kind of research are mostly structured, right? Because before you contact to any respondent in the market, you should always be thorough about what you want to do, what you want to ask, why you want to ask, and after collecting the responses, what exactly you are going to do with this particular kinds of data, right? So this is mostly structured one. Quantitative research are mostly structured one. Then these are the classifications of research design. How you can classify the various research design. So there are two things: exploratory research and conclusive research. So exploratory design, research design, as I already explained you need to explore it through the qualitative, right? qualitative research. But if you want to go for the conclusive research, then you need to adopt quantitative research. And under the conclusive research, you have a descriptive research and causal research. What is descriptive? Descriptive can be descriptive research can be further be classified into two parts. So descriptive research, if I need to define descriptive research, so descriptive research describe the population situations or phenomena that have been studied, which is already studied, and you want to describe that particular phenomena. That is a descriptive. What is conclusive? Conclusive research design is basically cause and not cause and it applies to general conclusion, right? Means if I have find out something from the sample, and if I need to apply the same study, and if I need to conclude the same scenario for particular population or particular area, geographical location, so I can conclude with this particular research, right? So under that, we have a descriptive research and causal research. So causal research, as I already explained you, cause and effect relationship. If I'll make changes in one variable, what will be the impact on other variable? Let's suppose if you are going for multiple regression to check the impact of, let's suppose Tata Motors and Ford Motors share price is on BSE index, right? So if I'll make changes in the Tata Motors, what will be the impact on BSE index? So this is cause and effect. Changes in one variable leads to change in other variables. This is called cause and effect relationship, right? And descriptive research can be further classified into two parts: cross-sectional design and longitudinal design. So if I talk about longitudinal design, basically, so longitudinal design is basically identify the same situation, or you can say same individuals, to detect any changes that has been taken place or not over a period of time. Basically, it is used for the secondary data, time series data, right? Gradually, by changing in the price, what will be the ultimate impact on the BSE or NSE, Sensex or Nifty, right? It is used basically for time series data because it is longitudinal research. But if we go for the cross-sectional, so cross-sectional basically collects data from different individual at single point of time. Means you can collect your data from any individuals at any point of time for your research, and you can get the information for your survey. So this is the research design mechanism that everyone needs to follow for their research paper construction or any kind of thesis if you are going to prepare for your research, right? So first is statement of the problem. Then you have to go for the review of previous study. So basically I can conclude this as a literature review, right? The scope of study, objectives of the study you need to define, hypothesis, operational definition of the concept, significance of your study, geographical area to be covered, methodology that you are going to adopt in this research, then what are the sampling plans that you have planned for this research, tools that you have used or you are going to use to collect the data for your research, and last one is chapter scheme, or you can say chapterizations, right? So this should be a part of your chapter 3 research methodology if you want to go for the research. Yes. So I'll start with the first point, the statement of problem. How your statement of problem should be defined. So what is your statement of problem? So that problem puts the problem in context. What do we already know? What we already know, and that comes from the literature review, right? What we already know, or we can say what is already discovered in the market, right? And then describe the precise issue that the researcher will address. So based on that, what has been described or what has been discovered and what researcher wants to discover, that can be described in the statement of problem, as I have already mentioned in the first slide of research process. Shows the relevance of the problem, why do we need to know it, and set the objectives of the research, what will you find out, right? So based on the research problem that you have defined, you will design your research objective that you want to find out for your research. So basically, if I need to conclude, a problem statement is usually 1 or 2 paragraphs to explain the problem of your process improvement project will address. So basically, research problem, your statement of problem is nothing but what has been already concluded and what you want to do. The gap between these two will lead to the statement of problem. And this is very important if you need to measure any kind of research paper or thesis. you can definitely read to the statement of problem, because this will define the blueprint of your research that you are going to do further for your paper. Scope of the study. Scope of the study means that it basically covers the area of research that you are going to cover in your particular study. And it also describes the various parameters that you are going to include in your particular study. So basically, this means that you will have to define that the study is going to cover what to cover and what is it focusing on, right? So basically, you need to define that what your study is going to cover and what exactly it is going to focus on, right? So scope of study basically defines the various areas of research and the various parameters of research that you are going to cover in your particular topic. Yes. Then if we talk about the objectives of the study, so objectives of the study defines, again, the scope of the study will be broadly classified into the objectives, because the scope that you have decided, based on that you will define your objectives, right? And objectives, once you decide, you need to decide which area that you want to cover, so which is already described in the scope, and should be to the point. You're right, I have seen many people that they are writing primary objective and secondary objective for the research paper, right? It should not be happen. Your objective should not be too much lengthy, your objective should not be too much short, but it should be a to the point that you want to find out in your research. It's okay if your research has only one objective, that's absolutely fine, but your objective should not be deviated from your research problem and the title of the paper that you have designed for your research. It's absolutely fine if you have a single objective for your research paper. That would be more justifiable rather than having 5 to 6 objective in the paper, right? And that is what I want to convey, that it should not be too much larger, neither it should not be too much narrow it down, but it should be to the point. It should cover the scope and the problem of the study that you want to discover in your research. That should be described in the objectives of the research. And there are basically 3 types of objectives that can be designed in the research report. First is exploratory design, second is descriptive, and third is causal, right? And the meaning we have already gone through it. Exploratory means it is aimed to explore the concept, and question should be asked how many, right? Then descriptive research, if you want to go for it, it should be measuring the quantity, quality, right? And questions can be asked with the why. And causal means it is tries to explain the cause and effect relationship among the variables, and it is based on experimental. If I'll do this, what will be the impact? If I'll do this, what will be the impact? Basically, causal effect research, cause and effect research is basically applicable to the technical field, technical area, right? If I'll increase the voltage up to this level, what will be the impact on particular machinery, right? So this is cause and effect relationship. That is basically not useful in social science much, but yes, if you go for time study data, definitely you can use this cause and effect relationship research for your data. How the hypothesis of the research should be there. So basically, your research hypothesis should be very specific, very clear, and it should be very testable, right? And it should be to the point also, right? It should be to the point. That means the testable propositions of predictive statements about the possible outcomes of a specific research study. So based on this particular property of a population, such as presumed difference between the groups on a particular variable or a relationship between the variables. Then types of hypothesis design in the research that we have used. So basically, there are 2 types of hypothesis that we can derive from the research. One is null hypothesis, and the second one is alternative hypothesis, right? We all are aware about what is null hypothesis, what is alternate hypothesis. But when it comes to the normality, these statements are optimistic, means there is data follows the normality, and in this statement, data does not follow the normality, right? If we talk about the normality, but if we consider normality, accept the normality for all the inferential hypotheses that we are going to test for our research to build our research paper, all the null hypotheses are pessimistic statement, right? That represented with the no significant difference, right? The no significant difference is for null hypothesis, and optimistic is for alternate hypothesis, that is significant difference. Now, the acceptance rejection criteria for the p-value, we all are aware about that particular things, right? This is the normality curve. This is the value 0. This is the value 0. This is the minus infinity, and here we have the plus infinity. Here we have the plus infinity. And if we take the error term 5% on both the side, so these are the error terms, right? 5%. So if we go into number line, so from 0 to minus, the values are going to be decreased. And if we go on the positive side on the number line, from 0 to plus, the values are going to be increased, right? So these are the rejection region. 5% error term on both the sides. So if your probability value falls under this rejection region, right, that means your probability value is less than 0.05, right? That means it is fall under the rejection region, and rejection region means we are talking about the rejection of null hypothesis. So if your probability value is less than 0.05, you cannot accept your null hypothesis, and you need to conclude that there is a significant difference between the two variables. But if your values are not having less than 0.05 value, but it is falling under this region, so this is called the acceptance region for all the research, and you can you are failed to reject the null hypothesis, and you have to accept it. That proves that there is no significant difference between the two variables that you have kept for your study, and that is what we can conclude from the hypothesis design based on the values and the things that we have derived from our research. Then significance of the study. Basically, significance of the study, what is defined? So it is written as a part of the introduction section of the thesis or research paper, right? What is your significance of the study? What are the benefits of out of this study? That can be defined under the significance of the study. So significance of the study portion will define the readers on how the study will contribute to the society, and the study will contribute and who will get the benefit of it. Who is the target audience? That this research is basically focused to provide the future benefit about this particular study, right? So it is nothing but the relevance to the society, right? This is called significance of the study, and believe me, this is most important part for any research paper or research thesis you are writing. You have to define the societal importance of your study, and that you can define in your significance of the study. And techniques to write significance of the study is, firstly, you have to look into the general contribution of your research, like importance of the society as a whole, right? Which part of the society will get benefit out of it? If you are conducting medicine survey, so you know that the doctors, medical representatives, even patients are going to be benefited out of this particular study. So yes, you have to define this relevance, then proceed with the downwards. If we go with the next process towards the individual level, and that may include yourself as a researcher. Might be I'm doing or I'm conducting one particular research, and that particular topic of research is also affecting to my particular life or general life also, right? So that also I need to define if I'm putting myself into that particular target audience. And you start broadly, then taper off gradually to a specific group or person. So जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, if we are conducting research on the generic drugs, right? So generic drugs, who will get the benefit, right? Or you can say the normal drugs, who will get the benefit? So you need to define the target audience, or you can say the beneficial audience, right? So basically, when we start the research, basically it comes in the mind that doctor fraternity is going to be benefited. Yes. Then gradually we have noticed not only doctors, but the patients are also going to be benefited, right? And not gradually we also came to know that not only doctor and patients, but the companies who are manufacturing the drugs, they will also come to know the popularity of this particular things, and they will focus on their production plan based on that particular scenario. So that is what the significance of this study will define. Yes. Then geographical areas to be covered. Which geographical areas that you want to cover in your research, that you need to define. So it is the space and the temporal database distribution of phenomena and process and features as well as the interaction of human and their environment, right? So particular research you have decided, but now you have to say and you have to describe in which particular geographical location that you are going to get this particular research, right? Let's suppose basically many of times we have seen many research paper that we are having the title called a study on consumer buying behavior in Ahmedabad city, right? As I have discussed earlier. So this is geographical location that I'm describing my study in Ahmedabad city, right? And this space and place affects a variety of topics such as economics, health, climate, plants, and animals. Geography is highly interdisciplinary, right? So we all know that we Gujaratis are mostly non-vegetarian people. So if we are conducting survey for non-veg, it is very difficult to find the audience over there. Or even if you are having the survey on the most popular wine brands in India, so Gujarat is not the right place for those surveyors who are making the survey on this particular topic, right? So you need to understand the geographical intensity, sensitivity, and based on that, you should come for the data collection, and that will have the more fruitful result for your research outcome, and that will beneficial to the society. So there are two types of geography, human geography and physical geography, right? Human means the target department or audience or particular group of people, and physical geography means location wise if you are going for it. So this is considered to be a physical geography. And additionally, if you want to take into consideration, so there is a regional geography and integrated geography. Regional means particular location. If you have selected particular location, let's suppose if you have selected Ahmedabad city, but you can't go for entire Ahmedabad city. So might be you are considering that southwest zone of Ahmedabad city, northwest zone of Ahmedabad city, southeast zone of Ahmedabad city. So whatever the convenient place that you have, that you can go for it, right? Yes. So methodology in research, right? This is very broad diagram that I'm not going to discuss in this particular things from qualitative to quantitative, but definitely I will share this PPT with you so that you can have the maximum benefit based on the research method and data analysis tools and technique wise, what kind of data should be there, what kind of questions should be asked, and what ultimately you will receive from this particular things that is there in this particular PPT. Clear? Then you have to define the sampling plan, how the sampling plan you need to choose, right? Then you have to decide tools for gathering the data. So you can go for quantitative data collection. So you can go for mail, online, face-to-face interaction and all this that we have already discussed. Then chapterization of the scheme. Finally, in the research methodology chapter, you need to define how your chapterization should be done. So at least introduction, literature review, research methodology, data analysis and interpretation, finding and conclusion, and recommendations of the study, right? So that might be the flow of your chapterization for any research under which you are going through, and that is what you need to kept in your research. Then data interpretation and analysis, right? How you are going to do the data interpretation and analysis to make an effective research paper that can be published in good reputed journals. So there are the various types of data that we have already discussed in the particular lecture of parametric and non-parametric tests. I'll not spend much time on this, but this is data analysis and interpretation. So basically, there are two types of data as we have already seen, quantitative data and qualitative data. So if we go into quantitative data, we have to go to the deductive method. So there is a univariate and multivariate. Univariate matlab there is one variable, multivariate means multiple variables, right? And qualitative data, if we talk about inductive, then it is hermeneutic, semiotic, and narrative and metaphor. So these are very broad techniques that I cannot disclose in this particular session, right? Yes. So these are the variables of your study. You can go for independent variable, dependent variables, categorical variable, continuous variable, quantitative variables, and qualitative variables. Basically, we use dependent variable, independent variable, categorical variable, continuous variable for the social science research. So data analysis tools and techniques, how you can do it? You can go for frequency analysis, right? Simply you can study the frequency. You can go for descriptive analysis, mean, median, mode, chi-square test, non-parametric version, that is association measurement for in between the two or more variables. Then to check the impact, you have to go with the parametric and non-parametric test that we have already discussed in earlier session by checking the normality of the data. Then you can go for exploratory factor analysis through factor analysis tools. And once you have proven particular factors into particular region, let's suppose you have find out that consumer buying behavior has been influenced by the price, loyalty, advertisement. So these are the three factors that you find out that consumers in Ahmedabad are getting affected by these three factors: price, loyalty, and advertisement. So if I want to check the same factor effect in Surat city, so I can go with the confirmatory factor analysis through model building also, right? That is also possible. So that you can include in your research paper, right? So these are the comparison chart that you can refer, right? Correlation and regression if you want, and finding and conclusion that you need to define. So finding and conclusion should be define the problems that you have derived in the beginning. The first task of our conclusion is to remind the reader of your research problem. Then second step is sum up the paper, right? You have to summarize the paper, that what are the objectives, what you have done, and what is the ultimate things that you have derived from the paper, and then discuss the implementation towards the society. That means whatever the things, findings, and conclusion that you have derived, whatever the interpretation that you have derived for your research, what is the societal implications of this particular research that you need to derive. Recommendations of the study. So basically, recommendation is written to relate directly to the aims of the project, right? You have to recommend something to the society, right? That my research has proven this. So if this things will happen, this might be useful for the future aspect. So this some recommendations from your end, being a researcher, you need to provide it. So that second point is indicate the extent to which the aim has been achieved. You can also derive, might be many researchers are expecting or expressing that whatever they have thought while starting the research and at the time of ending the research, there might be a huge difference between the expectations of their completion or achievement, right? So that you can also explain that I have thought this, that might be possible, but once my research got completed, I came to know that this is the only things that I have achieved in my research. That might be possible. Summarize the key findings, outcomes of your reports, then acknowledge limitations and make recommendations for future work where it is applicable, and highlight the significance or usefulness of your work, that is implications towards the society, who is going to be benefited out of your research, right? So this is the body of your research questions, thesis statement, research result, argument, summary of key points and significance of a topic, right? So with this note, I'm ending my session. So this is how, if you are following this particular steps, you can have the good research paper for your further proceeding. With this note, I'm ending my session. Thank you so much for the patient listening.